Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be sharing with you the 2020 K1 visa interview questions. And it's been a while that I've been posting videos regarding K1 visa, and I guess this is the right time because all of you guys are staying at home and not yet able to set up an interview. So I believe this is the perfect time for you to go ahead and start practicing on how to answer interview questions related to the K1 visa. I hope you guys are enjoying this quarantine period. I know this is a crazy times, but just hang on, everything will gonna be okay. So without further ado, I don't want to make this video long because I do have prepared tons of questions here. So it's not that all of the questions that I'm going to share here will gonna be asked during your interview, because the interview process, it's just gonna be quick. Sometimes you'll get it 5 minutes, some are getting 10 minutes, so you might gonna be asked like 5 questions only. So what I'm gonna share with you guys is up to you. It's better to be prepared when you go to the interview, okay? So let's go ahead and start the question. So I'll go ahead and start with the common and basic questions. So the interview process, you're gonna go through with a Filipino consul first. That's just like preliminary questions. So those are the very basic questions. What is your name? What is your address? The reason why they're gonna ask you this, because this is just a form of like making sure that you are the person that's going to apply for the K1 visa. Because what if it's somebody else pretending to be you, right? So they're doing this to make sure that you are the person that's going to apply. And then what's your birthday? Those are common questions as well. And most is actually the questions on that preliminary questions. The first interview is just about you, like how you met your fiancé, when did you start talking, what website did you actually start talking or you met, those kind of things. And then moving on to the final interview. The final interview questions is going to be American consulate. So the questions is more about your fiance, like the American citizen. Now they will gonna start like, what is your fiance's full name? Okay, then they will gonna ask you, what is your fiance's address? The next one is, how old is your fiance? So of course they're gonna ask you those kind of questions because they wanted to make sure that you really know your fiance well. Okay, so the next one on my list is, what does your fiance do for a living? So of course, if you are getting into a marriage thing, then of course you have to know this kind of things, right? What is your fiance's birthday? Of course, all of us fiance needs to know when is our fiance's birthday. That's important. Next is, what is the address of your fiance's work? This is kind of complex kind of question, but it's possible that they might gonna ask you this. Next on the list are, what are your fiance's hobbies and interests? So this is common question because I was asked the same question during my interview. Like, what are the things that you love to do together? Like, even though you are having a long distance relationships, you still have some hobbies and interests every day that you're talking. What do you do? Like, are you playing games? Are you just talking about some stuff? What are the things that you like doing together? So next one is, was your fiance married previously? So this is important, of course, because if your fiance is being honest with you, this kind of things needs to be shared together since you are entering the marriage life. So you have to be honest to each other. So I think this is like a common information. So I'm trying to talk faster here because I prepared a lot of questions. So just if you cannot catch up, just go ahead and repeat this video over and over so that you will be able to practice answering those questions that I'm throwing all over to you, okay? So next one is, how many times did your fiance got divorced? Because this is also important. Same thing with, was your fiance married previously? So those type of things are just similar. Next is, what is the name of your fiance's spouse or ex-spouse? So there are people that I know that they were asked about this question, because to make sure that you guys are sharing together. So yeah. Next is, what is the name of your fiance's children and their birthdays? So they might gonna ask, because this is also like important person of your fiance's life, so they have to share what are the things that's important to them, and that includes the family, which is the children. So like, yeah, you should know their birthdays, you should know their names, things like that, okay? Next is, what is your fiance's parents' name? So what's your fiance's parents' name? So of course you have to remember that, because that is a possible question. Next is, did your fiance live with his children? So yeah, that's kind of like not that really important question, but it might gonna be asked to you. Where do you plan to live in the US? So where do you plan when you get here into the US? Where do you plan to live? This is important thing, because you guys are already planning ahead of time. Like, where do you want to live? You should talk about that, because you're gonna be entering the marriage life. Next is, when and how did you meet your fiance? So most of the time this is being asked. So I actually personally, I did say that we met online on a dating site, and then there is a follow-up question to that. They were gonna ask, what dating site did you actually use? So yeah. Do you have any wedding plans? Yay! This is really important, because your visa entry is fiancé. That means to say that you have to get married in 90 days when you arrived in the US. So of course you should have plans. When are you gonna get married? What are your plans? Sometimes they're gonna ask you, okay, can you please share with me your plans when you get there? What are your plans for your marriage? So those kind of things. How many people's gonna be there? So yeah, you should just like prepare this kind of things, because this is really the most common questions regarding the K1 visa. Next is, how long has your fiance lived at his current address? So how long did your fiance live at his current address? Well, to give you like such an idea, that most of the people that lives in America, they're living in apartment unless they have a house, which if you live in an apartment, you keep moving, most especially if your husband or fiance is working on another city, another state. So they actually move close to their new workplace. So yeah, so you have to remember how long did your fiance live in his current address. Okay, next one is, how do you communicate with your fiance? So how do you communicate? Are you talking using Skype? Are you talking using Facebook Messenger? Are you using some other forms of communication? And how long do you communicate in a day? Is he calling you every day, often, every minute? Those kind of things. So yeah, that's also being asked during the interview questions. So I'm going on to my next page. Look at this, guys. I really had a lot of questions. So that's why I'm talking fast, because most of the time people won't gonna watch my video if it's gonna be long video. So we're gonna make it fast. Just go ahead and rewatch the video if you wanted to practice answering it, okay? All right, so going back, what's the color of your fiance's car? What are the make, the model of your fiance's car? That is also kind of an important question because this is very common thing that you guys were gonna be talking about each other every day. So next one is, what is your fiance's salary? Personally, me and my husband, when we start talking, we actually not talk about his salary as much as possible. I try to avoid this kind of thing, and I'm so glad that this was not asked to me. But this question is actually based on the questions that being asked to one of my members in my K1 visa group. By the way, guys, if you wanted to join or if you wanted to learn more about the K1 visa, I do have a Facebook page. It's a K1 visa. We're helping out each other. It's for free. There's no membership fee. I'm gonna post the link down below. There's a lot of people there that's really so respectful, and you can ask whatever and they will gonna answer your questions. So yeah, you better join that group because that will really help you. So these questions, guys, that I have is actually based on that members interview experience. Recently, some are actually being interviewed March, February, and January. So that's why this video is for 2020 interview questions. So yeah, we'll be moving on to the next question. Will there be a problem with the children from his other relationship? So yeah, they might gonna ask you, will there be a problem? Like, you know, this is really important because you are entering the marriage life, so you really have to make sure that their kids accept you. Like, you really have to talk about this kind of thing. So this is a possible question. Next one, what is your fiance's phone number or email address? So this is very common. You really need to know the fiance's phone number and email address. All right, next question is, has your fiance has ever been convicted of a crime? This was asked to me during my interview. So they asked me over and over. I was asked, like, have your fiance been ever convicted of a crime? And I said, no, as far as I know, he's never been convicted of a crime. It's like, are you sure about that? Yes, I'm sure about it. It's like, how do you know? It's like, and I was telling him, he's really persistent towards this question. He keep repeating this question over and over. So after this question, he's gonna ask me a different question, then he will gonna go back to this question again. So their technique there is that they're trying to go back to the same question and try to ask you one more time and see if your answer is the same. So you have to really be careful. You need to really practice interview process. The reason why I'm sharing this with you, it's because during my time, I also did watch a lot of videos related to the K1 visa interview questions, and that helped me a lot. So I'm sharing this with you to help you out, guys, and not to worry during your interview. You're gonna be feeling so confident enough to answer those questions if you already practice. Okay, practice can help us to be better. Okay, it's not always perfect because nobody's perfect, but practice can help us to become better. Okay. That's a sideways. So let's go back to our question. Why do you want to come to the US? Why would you like stay in your country and live there, have a happy ever after? Why do you want to go to the US? So you have to prepare your answer for that as well. Okay, so next one is, how do you spell your fiance's last name? This is so funny when they ask you this question. How do you spell your fiance's last name? All right, next is, how many days in a week your fiance's work? so you have to know about these things as well. Have you ever been to America? So that's also kind of common question, because if you've been to America, there is gonna be a possible follow-up questions like, what did you do there? What's the purpose of your visit? How long you stay there? Those kind of things. So if there are some people that already been to America, so yeah, you have to prepare for this question. And next one is, when do you plan on entering to the US? So when do you plan to go to the US after all of this process? So you just have to give a rough estimation on when do you plan to go to the US. So probably after the interview process, those kind of things. So do you have plans with your fiancé to have children in the future? So that's also like a part of family planning. Like if you're entering marriage, of course these things needs to be tackled. You need to know, like, if there are people that doesn't love kids, they don't want to have kids at all. So yeah, this is possible question as well. Next is, have you ever been denied of a visa in any country before? So this is also a common question. I've heard these questions a lot. So just be honest. They're not trying to really know your status. They are trying to test you if how well you answer the question. Just be confident, just be honest. If there are questions that you really don't know, it's better to say, I don't know. I really, like, for example, I have a friend, she lives in Virginia right now. She was asked, what's your husband or fiance's favorite music or musical artist, those kind of things, and she said, I don't know, we never talked about it. And it's fine, it's really fine. If you're trying to be honest, it's better to say that way instead of just trying to lie. And if they ask you again and you don't know what you've said, so that gonna falls into red flag, because you are just trying to make up stories. Okay, so try to be honest as much as possible. If you don't know the answer, just say I don't know, right? There's nothing wrong to say I don't know. All right, next thing on my list is, what kinds of things do you enjoy doing together? It's not that they're asking you like being together, but what are the things that you do together when you are talking online or over the phone? So maybe you love, because me and my husband, we do have this love book. Like every day there's a question there that we have to answer, like what did you do today? So I have to answer that, and then my husband would also gonna answer that. We do have that kind of book, so we do have some kind of tricks on how to really spice up our relationship. So those kind of things, like an effort to really grow your relationship. So that's an example that I had on our side during our long distance relationship. Okay, next is, what was the last gift of your fiancé get you? So what are the last gift that your fiancé gave you? So that's also a possible question. Next is, what are your favorite traits about your fiancé? What are your favorite traits about your fiancé? So my fiancé, or which is my husband right now, he's really kind, understanding, and he always makes me laugh, which is so funny, because until now I still giggles all the time. So yeah, that's really one thing that I really like from my husband, and we share the same thoughts, so that's really a good thing. So next one is, who proposed, you or your fiancé? So this is also kind of common question that will be asked during the interview process. Next is, describe the proposal. So this is something that they wanted to know what really happened during your proposal. Did he surprise you? Did he bring you to to some place where it's so special? Like, do you have a ring? Those kind of things. What is your fiance's favorite musical artist, and food? So my husband's favorite food is cheese enchilada, and he loves to eat. During his birthday, he's actually going to El Phoenix. That's his favorite place, and he only wants cheese enchilada. So how many times have you met in person? So this question. Next one, I'm gonna wrap up because it's gonna be too long now. Does your fiance have any pets, and what are their names? So my husband has a pet, and her name is Molly. And then sometimes they will ask, oh, my fiance has a dog. So what breed, what kind of dog does he have? So yeah, you have to really like pay attention to that. Next is I'm almost done here, so just keep on watching, okay? Because I'm gonna shout out your names after this. For those people who helped me, they actually shared this information to me. So yeah. Okay, so do you know any of your fiance's friends? So do you know any of your fiance's friend? So that's also kind of questions that might be possible to ask during your interview. How many people do you expect at your wedding? So this is also another question that was similar to my previous question. Where and when was your fiance born? So you should remember the city, and yeah, so that is really kind of important thing. How long did you date before getting engaged? So this is also like a complex question, but it's possible that you might gonna ask. Do you have any relatives in the USA? So that's also another question. Did your fiance go to college, and where? Okay, and next is, what color are your fiance's eyes? This is so funny. But yeah, so this was asked from one of the K1 visa group or member that I have on my page, so that's why I asked these questions. Now, in everything that I've said, you don't need to worry because they won't gonna ask you that much. So they might gonna ask you 5 questions, some are 3. So it's not that really hard. You just have to prepare, be ready, because that's also helping you a lot to sound more confident during your interview. Don't be afraid, because if you and your fiance have a genuine relationship, you guys know each other well, this question is just like piece of advice. All right, so you don't have to worry. It's not that they're trying to scare you during the interview. They're just trying to make sure that you know each other well. All right, so if you have any question, just don't forget to comment down below. Please try to visit our Facebook page. They are very helpful. You will gonna get a lot from them because they're sharing their experience. You know, this K1 visa process is so different because it's case-to-case basis. So whatever works for me might not work for you. Whatever works for somebody else might not work for somebody else. So it's a case-to-case basis. They're sharing all their experience, and they will try to answer as much as they can. All right, so now let's go ahead and do the shout out, because I promised them that I'll shout out their names if they will gonna be sharing their experience during their interview. So these are the people who actually contribute on this kind of questions. They have their interview just this year, January until March. It's because the middle of March there are already lockdown, so no one has their interview after the lockdown. So yeah, so shout out to Connie July. That's one of the person who helped me out about preparing this video. Next is Jing Sumindak Villop Flores. Shout out to you. Ruby Gonzalez, shout out as well. And Coffee Shy, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And there are also people who comment on that page that I wasn't able to write down in here because I already prepared this like a week ago, but I'll just go ahead and edit your name on this video so that you will be able to see your name. Alright, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you want to see more videos about the K1 visa, I do have a playlist about the K1 visa process, so you can go ahead and check it out. Again, see you next time. Always remember that you are loved. Thank you. Bye.